Good day, everyone. My name is David Williams, Executive Director of the International Association for Energy Economics. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar entitled Texas's and Other Power Markets After the Big Freeze, Diagnosis and Prognosis. We are grateful to Dr. Lynne Kiesling and our distinguished panelists for today's timely discussion. First, a little bit about the International Association for Energy Economics. We are the largest association specializing in the field of energy economics and provide a forum for the exchange of ideas, experience, and issues among professionals interested in the field. The organization produces 2 professional journals, a newsletter, and holds conferences and virtual presentations along with a host of other products and services that you can find at our website at www.iaee.org. If you're not already a member of the association, we welcome you to join. A few housekeeping matters in regard to today's webinar before I hand things over to our moderator. First, this webinar is being recorded for those that cannot participate in today's live event. If you have questions for our panelists, please click the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom window to type your question. We've allocated sufficient time at the end of this webinar to address your questions. And now I'd like to introduce you to our moderator, Dr. Lynne Kiesling. Lynn is an economist focusing on the regulation, market design, and economics of digitization and smart grid technologies in the electricity industry. She's a visiting professor in the Department of Engineering and Public Policy, co-director of the Institute for Regulatory Law and Economics, and a faculty affiliate at the Wilton E. Scott Institute for Energy Innovation at Carnegie Mellon University. She also provides an advisory and analytical services as president of Knowledge Problem LLC and is an adjunct professor in the Masters of Science in Engineering and Sustainability program at Northwestern University. She's also a past council member of the United States Association for Energy Economics. Lynn, over to you.
Thanks, Dave. And many thanks to Dave and Rebecca Lilly from IAEE for setting up this webinar, and to John Jimison, who I think is on as well, for collaborating with me in organizing it. We're thrilled to welcome you all here today for this important and timely discussion of blackouts and power markets with 3 very knowledgeable experts, whom I'll introduce shortly. By now, you're probably familiar with the general details of what happened in Texas in mid-February. A winter storm on February 11th and 12th, followed by another storm and extreme cold weather that covered the entire state and extended into neighboring states, with persistent cold temperatures. This persistent cold, plus the fact that buildings and infrastructure systems aren't very well winterized, led to a simultaneous increase in electricity demand and decrease in electricity supply. As demand outstripped supply in the evening of February 14th, 15th, a dangerous drop in frequency threatened a widespread blackout across ERCOT, and ERCOT implemented load shedding and rolling blackouts to avoid that outcome. These outages led to the tragic deaths of 80 people and failures in other associated systems like water systems. A small number of customers on wholesale pass-through contracts received extremely high bills, and retailers and utilities who have customers on fixed price contracts that they didn't hedge are themselves facing high procurement costs, with some having filed for bankruptcy protection. At the moment, estimates are that ERCOT itself is short $3 billion in clearing those payments. Some estimates of the total cost of this event top $80 billion, and the human, financial, and physical implications will take, and political implications will take a very long time to unravel. In the ensuing month, there's been a lot of finger pointing and accusations of monocausal explanations that, too much investment in wind, too much deregulation, etc. There's also been a lot of insights. Today's discussion will explore what happened, how will and how should the ex post costs be paid, how Texas and other electric systems can reduce the likelihood of such an event happening again, and how this event compares to other such events in Europe. We have 3 renowned experts in our discussion today, and I'll introduce them in the order in which they will speak. And I think we'll also try to identify open research and policy questions throughout the course of our conversations. Our first speaker is Alison Silverstein, who's a consultant, strategist, and researcher on electric transmission and reliability, energy efficiency, and technology adoption issues. She's worked for decades to advance the use of clean energy and advanced grid technologies as part of a reliable, resilient energy system. She's written seminal papers on electric system reliability and resilience and forward-looking power market design. Her work on major federal electricity efforts includes the U.S. Department of Energy's staff report on electric markets and reliability, 3 national transmission congestion studies, the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative framework, and the industry-wide advancement of synchrophaser technology. Silverstein has been an independent consultant since 2004. She has worked as a senior advisor to Chairman Pat Wood at the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and then also co-chaired the 2003 US-Canada blackout investigation. Our second speaker will be Beth Garza, who's a senior fellow with R Street's Energy and Environmental Policy team. Prior to joining R Street, Beth served as the director of the Electric Reliability Council of Texas Independent Market Monitor from 2014 through 2019, after serving as deputy director there since 2008. In this role, Beth was responsible for monitoring market participant activity, evaluating wholesale market operations, and recommending improvements to the wholesale market design. Over the course of her 35-year career in the electric utility industry, Beth has held a variety of leadership roles in generation and transmission planning, system operations, regulatory affairs, and market design for both regulated and competitive entities. Our third speaker is Janusz Bialek, who's received his master's in engineering and PhD degrees in electrical engineering from Warsaw University of Technology. He's currently a professor of power and energy systems at Newcastle University in the United Kingdom and a full professor of Skolkovo Institute of Science and Technology, Skoltech in Russia, where he was the founding director of the Center for Energy Systems. Previously held chair professor's positions at the University of Edinburgh and Durham University. His main research interest is in the application of advanced mathematical methods to address techno-economic problems of achieving low carbon power systems. So logistics for today are that each speaker will give about a 12-minute presentation. After that, I'll chime in and ask them some follow-up questions, and then we will discuss audience questions. As Dave said, please use the Q&A box to submit your questions. And please note that since we have a large audience, I will probably curate and synthesize your questions, all the questions that have similar themes. Please also focus your questions on the economics and policy issues rather than the technical power systems engineering questions, although I know they're all relevant and important in understanding such events, and I'm thrilled we have such an interdisciplinary audience to discuss this set of issues. So with that introduction, Allison, I will hand the floor over to you.